Welcome back to the Grim Workshop. If you just got your Generation 2 hotshot card in the mail and you're kind of looking around seeing what you can use to practice help you make a fire, this is the video for you. Today I'm going to show you my top 5 tinder materials that you've probably got around the house. The Generation 2 hotshot card is available on Kickstarter. I've got several videos out on this card already. You can reference back and check those videos out if you're interested in the card or you have not seen this yet. But I would definitely follow the link, head over to Kickstarter and get in on this. My number one way to start a fire using ferro rod around a house is just with a simple cotton ball like this. This lights up with just the nick of a spark. They burn really great. They're really common and they're inexpensive. You can pack these ahead of time. You can add something to these to make them work even better, but just a simple cotton ball works really well. So with a cotton ball, if this thing was all matted down and tight, you want to puff this up. You want to expose as much of it as possible. So we'll just go ahead and puff this up a little bit. So that simple little cotton ball puffed up pretty decently. Now I'm going to take my striker, hold this at a 45-degree angle to the rod. I'm just going to go ahead and pin this right down to the material, and I'm going to drag this towards me and rip start this cotton ball. And that quick, we've got a fire. So if you wanted to up the ante on this, you can take this same cotton ball and just coat this in petroleum jelly. Now what that does is that actually gives you a fuel. So the cotton's going to take the spark, the petroleum jelly is going to act as a fuel, and it's still going to light the same. It's just going to burn a lot longer. So I just have a little bit of petroleum jelly on here. You could really coat this if you were making this for a survival kit. I'm going to go ahead and just set this down, do the same rip away technique. And that burns a lot longer. Cotton balls are cheap, but my number 2 fire starter is going to be dryer lint. So I save this stuff. You can just kind of ball it up, keep this by your fireplace. You can carry this in your bag if you chose to. So I'm going to be switching strikers. I'm going with the pry bar here. This is still going to give me a nice flame. I'm going to go ahead and pin this material down. I'm going to pull away from it. And it doesn't burn quite as well as the cotton. It doesn't smell quite as good as the cotton. But this is pretty prevalent. It's free. And it lights up pretty easy. So you've seen me use this before. This is jute twine. So this is available at any hardware store. You should probably have this stuff around the house. You should probably carry it as well. Now this stuff makes a really nice bird's nest. But the best way to do it is to cut a piece maybe 4 to 6 inches, and then you just start to unwind it. If you try to unwind it with longer pieces, it just doesn't work out as well. And this is actually a really good skill to learn because you're not just learning how to light something with a ferro rod, you're learning how to process material. So with natural inner bark or any other materials that we're going to be covering later, you can't just pull it off a tree and light it. You have to process this material. So if I was building a sustainable fire, I would want quite a bit more than this. But leave it nice and fluffy. I'm going to be using the pry bar again and the ferro rod off the hotshot card. Give it a couple rips, and that quick we were able to get a fire. So that was 3. So number 4 is just a common tissue. This I think actually went through the washing machine, so this is pretty frayed out anyway, but toilet paper, tissue paper, paper towels, anything like that is going to work. And you're just going to want to keep this stuff as airy as possible. So I'm going to process this material. This is going to mimic what you would do if you were to find some bark material, some inner bark. You're just going to want to process it. Leave it nice and fluffy. And then we're going to sink our striker into the material and going to have to pull it away. So it was fighting me a little bit, but it finally took off. Last item we're going to be using is cardboard. Now, if you were in an urban situation, you're going to find this stuff everywhere. And with cardboard, this is going to take some work. This is good practice. This is not something that I use for fun. But I could light this for quite a while. I could probably cook it and do a pump technique and get it to burn. But you're going to have to process this material quite a bit more. You can see I'm starting to put a little burn on the cardboard, but not good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to process this material down. So with this processed cardboard, this is not going to light that easy. This is not kind of a stubborn material to work with. So instead of pushing or pulling the ferro rod, I'm going to bury the ferro rod down in the material, and I'm just going to work it back and forth and just heat it up a little bit. So this is probably my favorite technique if the material is really stubborn. There we go. Cardboard is actually one of the last things I want to use. Duct tape was probably lower down the list than this, but not very far. But it teaches a great lesson. It teaches you how to process material and how to light a stubborn material, which you're going to need that if you're going to be building fires in inclement conditions in the woods.